Hello and welcome to Editing with My Wife, now with less enthusiasm. My name's The Hooded Philosopher and I'm here with Cheesy Loops. Cheesy Loops, are you enthused about anything?
What's enthused?
Get all loose. Yeah. Yes, she's enthused about a ball. You're gonna break it. Another one.
I know. My new one got broken so fast.
And the seal popped off.
The seal's starting to pop off on this one too, but it wasn't as bad as the other one.
Alright.
Anywho,
We're reading a story.
Are we? Is that what we're doing?
Let's read a story. Yeah, let's read a chapter from my latest book.
Glimmer of Truth.
Glimmer of Truth. Glimmer of Truth.
Chapter 3. A detective investigates.
That's the end of it, though, right?
Humans.
No, we're not doing the whole thing like Western.
Humans live on Earth. Oh. Humans live on Earth. The Fae do too, but they have no home. Instead, deciding to live in the space between here and there. A different kind of nomad. A nomad with no regard for reality. To speak to them is no different from speaking to a stranger. That is, unless the Fae you speak to bends the world to show you their truths. Or maybe their favorite lies. That is their power to bend reality. If the journey requires it, the home is a tool the Fae use to get where they need to be. They don't stop. Glimmer does. He falls in love with the human way of life. Sitting, eating, drinking, without not a care in the world was his new favorite way to pass the time. You see, the Fae world is not a place to go visit. There will be no vacations, no rest, only an impossible need for getting things done. The food is not enchanted like y'all think. You all think. It is simply that good. It is to die for. But if the taste of the wonderful food doesn't make you stay, the sweeping grasp of the journey will make you stay. Inside the journey, reality doesn't have any hold. The world is constantly shifting around you, but none of it matters, because you have a mission, always something to do. There are whole years of Glimmer's life that were spent traveling underground with the dwarves, yet another decade as a simple tree frog. Life in the journey is not yours. Eleanor was a mousy, delicate woman. Her tears were showing the misfortune of her life that was soon to be remedied by his ingenuity. Ember was dressed as an ordinary street officer, comforting her. Her grandmother's priceless family necklace seems to have gone missing, she said as she walked by, handing him her notepad. He flipped open the pad to read the words, "This is a bore." The word bore was underlined twice. He looked back at her, saying that this is akin to the human saying, "I'm uncomfortable at home." After slipping a pen out of his front pocket, he wrote, "The journey starts soon." He slipped the pen back into his pocket, closed the notepad, and walked over to where Eleanor was sitting. "Eleanor, I'm Detective Gray." "Wee." He extended his hand. Her surprise was mixed with a small yearning to see his bright smile. She took his hand and shook it. "Gray, good to hear your name, Detective." "Look, I know I came off a little creepy. I admit I'm not very good at conversation. If you want, I could have another detective assigned to the case." "No, I don't think that'll be necessary," she said, wiping her last few tears away. "I'm glad to hear that. Now, about your grandmother's necklace. Do you have any suspects who want to take it from you?" Her curly hair bounced neatly with the shake of her head. "My parents passed a decade or so back. My brother does not need jewelry, but he is on the moon, so it's likely that he isn't involved. And my close friend has borrowed it in the past. If she had it, she would have told me." She stood in front of him, her mouth looking for words. "I just don't know who or even why anyone would break into my home and take my grandmother's necklace." "You know, you're right. I have so few problems as a detective. But I only need to see mental illness and occasionally petty theft."
That's all he sees. I
only see mental illness and occasional petty theft. All the good cases are solved, and all the bad ones end up
petty.
Wee.
used petty twice.
And all the bad ones end up as petty crimes of opportunity. Was it just laid out? Yes, I leave it out in my mother's and grandmother's memories. She smiled as memories flooded her mind. He could feel her joy reaching out for him. He smiled back. We humans have truly found our home. He breathed a deep breath. I'll take a look at the overseer. He'll show us what happened. I've never been to the overseer. He could see the fear drip off of her. There's nothing to fear. It just tells me what I need to know. I'm afraid it's not very interesting. She looked at his smile. Her fear subsided. The overseer was installed centuries ago as a part of the plan to restore order after the planet was contacted by the Council of Good, he explained. The Council of Good always sounded like a really good cover name for something awful, she laughed. But they have proven my entire life not to have ill intent. It was only a few blocks away. The streets were never busy around the overseer's entrance. Above the entrance to the overseer was a phrase. Good must stand by good. Okay, so Grammarly didn't pick up on a lot of stuff.
This is so small.
It is small. But Grammarly didn't pick up on a lot of things that it should have, so we'll have to fix that later. That's weird.
Okay. Go back to the bottom. Start from the bottom.
Why did you have it? She laughed.
Well, let's check this dialogue out before I say anything else. Read that stuff again and tell me how awful it is.
This chapter's pretty rough.
Yeah.
This chapter's really rough. The Council of Good always sounded like a really good cover name for something awful, which is...
She laughed, commenting on what he said, something like that is what he did there. She's not saying it, technically. She's just got this weird sentence there.
No, I like the sentence. That's, out of all the sentences in
really?
this, that's my favorite one.
Well, I can leave it alone then, happily. Because I don't know what... But I just have to elaborate further on some other smaller details that don't really matter.
Yeah.
Because there's already so much going on in here that's going to need some explaining.
Yes. No, this is probably my favorite sentence you have. The Council of Good always sound like a really good cover name for something awful.
And then the second part is so important.
But they have proven my entire life not to have an ill intent.
She's never seen evidence of it, and she's never heard people talk about evidence of it. There's always... It's just good. It's just good.
Yeah, but it does have, and that's maybe wise, because I was like, yeah, the Council of Good does have that feel of something negative.
Okay. This actually, I elaborate a little further in later, because when they go in, they talk more about it.
And that's fine.
So, what does that make you think?
The Overseer was installed centuries ago as part of the plan to restore order after the planet was contacted by the Council of Good. So this does give that feel of it's not present Earth.
Good. And beyond that, you're going to find that this definitely wasn't present Earth.
Yeah.
Because we're leaving the galaxy in this book.
I mean, there's a whole prison system on the moon.
Yeah.
That also lends to that. So that you, without saying Earth 3035, you're you're giving.
I'm trying to set the scene with the dialogue and other stuff too, and they get in deeper later in the book.
Mm-hmm. So
okay,
I'm afraid it's not very interesting. She looked at a smile. I've never been to the Overseer. He could see the fear drip off of her, which is fine.
So memories here is the biggest problem.
I leave it out in my mother's and grandmother's memories. So what does that mean? Because I have no idea.
So that way she can see it and remember her grandmother.
She leaves it out in her mother's... Oh, she leaves it out to
remind her of her grandmother.
A constant visual reminder.
Okay, that's where I fix it then, because I can come over here.
I leave it out on a... I
leave it out to remember my mother and grandmother.
Yeah, as a constant reminder.
As a constant reminder, yeah.
Yeah, a constant reminder of my mother and grandmother. Yep.
Okay.
And
I can delete this part.
You can delete memories.
Yeah,
and you can delete mothers, and grandmothers.
Oh, that's delete.
Well, yeah, because I did say delete.
Yeah, because my mind was like,
I leave it out as a
did
constant
it
reminder
again.
of my mother and grandmother. Hey.
The grandmother was capitalized.
Yeah. She smiled as memories flooded her mind. He could feel her joy reaching out for him. He smiled back. We humans.
Now this is strange. No, there's no internal. He's saying this.
We humans have truly found our home.
Yeah. Maybe I'm not saying it right. Maybe I'm being all weird about hating humans.
Why are you putting a weird thing there?
I don't know.
Yeah. And then you need to close.
Or maybe that isn't. Maybe I was just waxing Philson.
It doesn't feel like, because he says we humans.
Yeah.
And that feels weird for someone who is human to say.
Yeah.
So when he says that, it's gonna. Then breathe. Took in a deep breath. Not breathed a deep breath.
Oh.
Yeah, he took it. Smiled back and took in a deep breath, saying, I'll take a look at the overseer. He will show us what happened. Okay.
I think the big part here was just that petty.
All the bad ones end up as crimes of opportunity. Ooh, wind.
How do you spell victim? Well, C.
Yeah, with a C. I am.
Yeah.
Victim is crimes of opportunity. You know, you're right. Okay, so he says, you know, you're right. I have so few problems as a detective. What does she write about? He makes a comment like she said something specific.
It's because she's confused as to why someone would break into her house and take her necklace, and he's like, "You're right. You should be confused."
Okay, so instead of saying
you should be confused.
Yeah.
Okay. It kind of validates too.
Or I would be confused too.
I'd be confused too. Yeah.
I only see mental illness and occasional petty theft. I would be confused too. I have so few problems as a detective.
The butt doesn't need it.
Yeah, the butt doesn't need there. He says, I only see mental illness, which, mental illness calls? What do you talk about mental illness?
Yeah, like someone having mental illness problems, or a child having mental illness problems even. He doesn't do much else. There's not a lot of crime.
I would reword it. I would either add something there, because I only see mental illness calls. I only see people struggling with their mental illness, something like that.
Yeah, people struggling with is great.
Yes,
because that's. I mean, if the police force could do that and successfully help people with it, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Well, what it seems like is happening here is that yes, you're in the future, so there's less big crimes happening.
Yeah, there's no like organized crime. They don't need it.
Especially with the Council of Good.
So like, or like, you know how sometimes you'll have someone come into your store who's clearly mentally ill.
Yeah.
And nobody's doing that. That's what they still check up on. And it's just to make sure everyone's safe. Mm-hmm. That's all. But other than that, it's like there's no murder. There's no
murder. There's no high, like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's no theft. There's no occasional this is a weird thing. Detectives are barely even used anymore.
Okay, so the next line, it says all the good cases are solved, and all the bad ones are.
All the bad ones end up victimless crimes of opportunity.
So all the good cases, what are good cases?
Like the ones that had a real problem, like murders and stuff. They're all solved now.
They're all easily solved, okay.
All the complicated cases? Is that better?
Yes.
Because that's what he's kind of saying.
Yeah, all the complicated cases, yes. Solved quickly.
Yeah, and yeah.
Because I think that's an important thing to note. All the complicated cases are solved quickly.
Mm-hmm. Up. I'll go up then. That was pretty good.
Okay.
Officer Gray is what needs to be there. Because she didn't know his name, right?
Yeah.
And he never introduced himself. So it's Officer. Officer Gray. Good to hear your name, Detective. Because she's met him before.
Is it officer or detective? Because you say detective.
I think it's... Is it not the same as officer? Like, not a blanket term? Maybe I'm wrong. You're right. Whew, good catch. I'll say detective. Detective Gray. Good to finally hear your name.
Yes, and then just get...
Yeah, and then get rid of last detective.
Yeah.
Whoop.
Whoop.
Okay.
Detective Gray. Good to finally hear your name.
So, do you understand what I'm trying to get across here in this section?
You looked back at... Okay, grandma...
With her?
Her grandmother's priceless family necklace seems to have gone missing, she said as she walked by, handing him her notepad. He flipped open the pad to read the words, "This is a bore." The bore
I was going to say this woman is a bore. Is that funny, or is that just mean? From Ember.
I like what you're getting here, because...
This isn't the journey. They're bored.
Yes.
Glimmer, you can. I say from the beginning here, he likes to relax now.
Yeah.
He likes the idea of just doing nothing.
Yes.
As a pleasure, because that's not how he grew up.
Yeah. No, I get that. So
okay. So she's not. She's not that.
This is a bore. Yes, is good.
Mm-hmm.
Is much better than.
Okay.
The word bore was underlined twice. He looked back at her, saying that is akin. What is saying? What's saying?
Saying this is a bore.
No. Saying that is akin to a human saying, "I'm uncomfortable."
Saying this is a bore is akin to saying I'm uncomfortable. It's like I don't even want to be here.
Saying that, this is where Grammarly messed up, because there should be a comma after that. Saying that
it could be that we're not paying
to
for
a human. Huh?
It could be like we're not paying for it and that sort of stuff.
Okay.
They can't paying for it.
Well, there's some I caught that.
But I could also say saying this is a bore is akin to saying human, just to a human saying.
Or her saying that. Her saying that is akin to a human.
Like it's not just I'm idly waiting for something interesting to happen.
Yeah. She's
saying I'm not happy here.
Yeah. So you could say her saying that is akin to a human saying.
Oh yes. Okay. Well, I could also then think about this. And move it here to the bottom. And I'll come back to that in a second.
Yes, and then go up to saying.
There. So
Yeah.
that removed the her that was there, so that way it's not doubled up on her.
Her saying that.
Oh, that's a period.
Is akin to a human being saying, "I'm uncomfortable at home." He looked back at her. Yeah, that's much better. See, now Grammarly's picking up the comma.
It's like the Leonardo meme. Hey, look at that. It's right there. Oh, she did it. She did it with her fingers. Okay.
Her saying is no, it has to be that. Her saying is akin. No, it's her saying.
Her saying that is akin. Maybe that's the problem.
No, it took away that. You had that.
And changed it for is.
Her saying that is akin to her.
So
put a comma.
It's the comma.
Put the comma.
And then we'll worry about the is.
And then see if it picks. No, put the is back in.
Oh.
Okay. I think the comma is what was doing it, really. Her saying that is akin. Yeah. Okay. There were whole years of Glimmer's life that were spent traveling underground with the dwarves. Yet another decade as a simple tree frog. Life in the journey is not yours. I liked this.
Just adding agent to the dwarves.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking of.
The thing that I had problems with in your next paragraph up.
From the beginning there, where it says, like, with the red mark?
Yeah. The food is not enchanted like you would think, instead of you all think. It is simply that good. It is to die for. But if the taste of the wonderful food doesn't make you stay, the sweeping grass of the journey will make you stay. But the whole point of the journey is not to stay, right?
Stay in the journey? Yeah, the whole point of the journey is to make you stay in the journey.
I
You know,
see.
the journey doesn't want you to leave the journey. It's
Okay.
it's like saying that existence doesn't want you to leave existence. That's
Mhm.
insanity. Okay.
Okay.
So do you get what's coming across there?
You're kind of playing with the Fey rule: if you eat the food, you're stuck forever.
Mhm.
But it's a little bit of a
So a person going into the Fey world, you get sucked into that story. There's no other thing that's necessary, so it's not like rendered, so to speak. And you just follow the journey. None of that other stuff matters. There's no world. There's no infrastructure. It's all an unreality.
How is there food in the journey?
You don't need food if you're in the journey. You're not even a physical corporeal
so
body.
you say there, you say the food is not enchanted like you would think.
Well, they
it's
eat.
simply that good.
Yeah, on the journey you can like have
Okay,
food, stop at an inn and have a nice
up.
meal at the journey.
Scroll up.
It's
No, that's fine.
it's a
Sitting,
very
eating,
fine
and
point.
drinking
Yeah,
with not a care in the world was new favorite way to pass time.
yeah. So in the journey, you don't stay and sit and eat and drink for a long time, but you do sit and stop and eat. You just don't stay for a long time.
I see.
You don't sit and rest and wait.
It's kind of like how I
you've
eat
got
at work.
other things to deal with.
It's kind of like how I eat at work.
Yeah.
You kind of eat on the go.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll have like there's no customers and you have like a little bowl of lasagna and you'll eat that. That's different than like having a bag of chips, just snacking on them while you're working really hard, right?
Tornadoes.
Yeah, so it's there's no lasagna. There's no minute to stop. You're always going. Yeah. There is no. It's unlike reality. This is what I'm trying to achieve here.
Okay.
I'm trying to make the Fey world unlike reality.
Mm-hmm.
And it's becoming evident that my writing is garbage.
Well, no, we talked about why this was a struggle for you. This is something you didn't necessarily start with. It wasn't in your head. You just kind of heard something I said and ran with it.
Okay, this is an old word that I changed, and it's...
If their journey requires...
I always misspell it, though. Existence.
Plus, you've capitalized the journey.
I need to capitalize the journey when it's referring to that space.
Yes.
That's like saying the earth.
That's what I was just about to say. You've been capitalizing the journey this whole time. If you're going to do that, hey, let's go here and fix this one real quick.
If you see a couple, I can grab them. Oh.
Alright, there we
go. Okay. That one's good. That one's good. Okay.
I didn't see many other ones.
But right now, they're not in the journey. This is all preamble to kind of... I guess this is the way I'm trying to let the exposition happen. And it's all happening kind of before all the dialogue. Also before it actually happens. Mm-hmm. All this Fae stuff, you're going to get there. This is all preamble leading to the Fae.
It's almost like you have a glimmer of what's going on with the journey. And then you get a little bit of the story.
A little taste at a time. And then you then very quickly the two merge. Yes, a glimmer. I liked it.
So funny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then after they merge, they're pretty much in the journey for the rest of the book until the very end.
Mm-hmm. Okay, humans live on Earth. The Fae do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awkward. Humans live on Earth. The Fae don't quite live on Earth because they don't.
That's not how it started. This is kind of how it started.
So the Fae did too.
Yes.
The Fae used to?
Yes.
Humans live on Earth, the Fae used to. Humans lived before Pangea. Humans live on Earth?
No, that's not right.
Yeah, that's not right.
It's more like...
Before Pangea. Humans live on Earth. Before that, the Fae did too. But
Before
now,
before Pangea. That's what needs to go. That's where the Pangea needs to go.
well, don't type it right there.
No, it's capitalized.
Okay.
Make sure that happens too. I don't know
Before
what that is.
You
But I guess that is before humans living on Earth. That is the humans living on Earth. Before the humans lived on Earth. Before that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before... There.
Before Pangea, the Fae did too. But now they have no physical home.
Physical might not be enough of a word.
It might not be, but
they have no home in the existence.
I would say here, but now. Oh. They have no physical existence.
And I'm just gonna have to do it. That's what we call this place. We live in existence.
Now, here's the one issue I have with the sentence. It starts with but.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Okay. Instead, deciding to live in the spaces between here and there, a different kind of nomad. A nomad with no regard for reality.
That's a sentence.
What? To speak to them is no different from speaking to a stranger. To speak to them is no different than speaking to a stranger. Well, duh, because they would be a stranger too.
They're not like incorporeal life forms when you see them. They're humanoid. They look like a normal stranger, not like an alien or anything like that. Yeah.
I don't know if I quite get that from that sentence.
I could probably do this. What about a random stranger? And we're close.
Random is close, but it's not quite what you were looking for.
A distant friend.
Okay. That is, unless the Fae you speak to bends the world to show you their truths, or maybe their favorite lies. That is their power, to bend reality. If the journey requires it, the existence is a tool the Fae use to get where they need to be. They don't stop. Glimmer does. He falls in love with the human way of life. Sitting, eating, and drinking. So this is where I'd say your mouse is broken again. And then decapitalize drinking. With not a care in the world. Was his new favorite way to pass the time. Do one more comma right there, please.
That's actually fine. It could change it. No, because they're referencing each other.
What's that?
Sitting, eating, and drinking with not a care in the world.
Was his new favorite way.
Was Glimmer's new favorite pastime. Was that two? That possibly two sentences? They're connected though. That's a comma, not a period.
That's a comma. Yeah.
Okay, let's really quickly just go down the story and tell me what you think of the story itself. Of what's being said and done here.
I like the fact that you're trying to, instead of having one chapter at the beginning, one big chapter at the beginning, where you're explaining the Fae world, you kind of peek in just a little bit,
and it happens until they get there.
And then the story where there's dialogue and stuff going on, it kind of touches on some of those things. So where she gets bored because of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
So
you'll see that actually comes back. That's there on purpose for further in the story too.
It kind of fits what you have explaining up here. Explains why she's so bored. So I definitely like that aspect of it. and then it's pushing the story too.
Yeah.
Right now, do you stop explaining so much of the Fey world?
Once we're there, once you're in the journey, you're in the journey.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to like explain to you kind of what happened on his way in first, and then once they're in, they go in and change it.
So it's kind of curious to see, like, so Eleanor's not the main character. Well, you see what I'm saying?
Yes,
but
she's not the perspective you're following.
But the way it seems like you're building this out so far is the human way of doing things in the first few chapters, and then the Fey way of doing things, where it takes a little longer in the first few chapters, which is what humans would do.
It's like being able to chew on it.
Yeah, it's what kind of what humans would do is they kind of sit and explore and relax and be slow. So the story's a little slow, but then when she gets into the journey, she's fully immersed in that Fey world where it's go 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 go.
We were talking in chat today in the lounge about exposition.
Okay.
How do you feel exposition? Where is it best? And like where have you seen it within my works?
Okay, so help me understand better exposition, because that's not a term I'm very familiar with.
Let's look that word up for sure.
Okay. Kind of with this one, you know how in some stories they give a piece of lore before they get into the...
That's kind of the start of exposition.
Okay. A comprehensive description and explanation of an idea or theory. Oh, don't read the next one because it.
Yeah, it's just related to the first one here.
Yeah.
So
an idea or theory. So you're explaining
the idea of the magic in my second book.
Okay.
I didn't actually exposition that really at all.
No, you didn't.
It was all in the dialogue and in the.
And the only time it was exposition, you made it.
It was part of the dialogue.
It's part of the dialogue because the boy didn't know about
the boy
it.
Didn't know, yeah.
Draylin was.
And Draylin needed to learn some too.
Yeah, Draylin was learning it.
So my exposition in that book was very minimal.
Yes.
Very minimal.
Because it wasn't.
It was all at the beginning though.
It wasn't the author trying to explain to the reader by unnecessary words that the characters already knew.
They just did it.
You put characters. You put characters in there that didn't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
to give that reason to explain. Yes.
Yeah.
But in my first book,
it didn't feel unnatural.
In my first book, the exposition with Zig is messy.
But it was Zig explaining something that the characters did not know.
Yeah, and it was just, but it was also kind of messy.
Yeah.
Like all over the place inside of it. Unlike the first book or second book, which it's all in the intro. Whatever you see after you're done with understanding what happened to Nathaniel's wife, the story goes.
Right.
There's really no exposition at all.
And
outside of dialogue
and it makes sense that because the boy was always going to be a part of your story. It makes sense he doesn't understand magic.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got to learn a little bit. And it's not heavy-handed. It's not like explaining every step.
Like a bunch of lore dump, yeah.
Yeah. So you see Marcus tell the boy that we should teach you how to do this, and then it's the end of the chapter.
Yeah.
And then the beginning and then someone else's chapter when they see the boy again, it's they've been
and some people would be sad because they want to see the fireballs exploding. But I had a story to tell. And in fact, I was wondering if maybe it was a good idea in next January to just go over that book again and write on top of it. Add more story in between the spaces.
So bolster your...
Yeah, to make it look even bigger and try and start building a book like Khan's, but over years.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good idea, I think.
But you wouldn't be able to write...
I would want to double the number of words on it.
Because the idea was if people liked the last January story, that next January would be the second book of that.
Yeah, but if nobody says anything, I may as well just work on it harder.
Yeah.
And get it and see if I can get it better, but only on January's. All the other ones will leave in the back unless people are crying out for it. I'm not hearing anything, guys. I'm not hearing anything. So I'm just going to go with my own guts. Try and make things better in next January, which is kind of the goal of January, right? All right. So I don't know how we got off on that topic.
Because we're talking about exposition.
Yes. I said that exposition is like trying to rub butter onto bread. If the bread isn't toasted, the butter is hard, that's gonna be a mess.
The bread
It's like you have to proportion the two things, and you have to spread them evenly through your story to really have a maximum effect without having to be too wordy. But being too wordy again is not bad. It's just the way some people read and write.
Yeah. Well, I feel like in this, where you start, like I was saying before, like we were talking about it wrong screen, where you have a little bit of it here, and then you get into the story, so it makes sense why she's bored. So there is a bit of exposition, but you try to keep it brief.
Yeah, this feels like the butter's hard, but the toast is cooked. Yeah. And you got the chunks, but it's not tearing the bread or anything.
But then you got this here where it's like, so you have your first one here, and then Glimmer does. He falls in love with the human way of life, okay? And then you talk a little bit more exposition here. And then here you say, there were whole years of Glimmer's life were spent traveling underground with the ancient dwarves. Yet another decade as a simple tree frog. Like, there's a little bit of grab there. Like...
And it just you can do anything in the journey.
Yeah.
It's entertainment purposes for the Fae. That's all it is. They're the incorporeal life form that can access this journey. Anyway.
Oh, that was a big yawn.
So let's get real quick into the dialogue here. Wrong screen.
Wrong screen.
So he got to kind of redeem himself.
Yes.
Even though he is being a creep, period. This whole thing is very creepy, the way he's approaching it.
And then he even says, if you want, I could have another detective assigned to the case. Like, if you're too uncomfortable. Yeah. But that's kind of a manipulation.
That's what he wants. Yes. He's trying to get her. Like, she doesn't see it, though.
She doesn't see the manipulation.
And the trustworthy detective badge. It's all a lie, though. It's all, he can manipulate existence to do whatever he wants.
Like, he's just a human being that was trying to hit on me, but now he's being professional.
Yeah.
He's not, he won't be too bad.
And he keeps on task.
Yeah, he keeps on task. He doesn't bring up, the coffee shop's done.
Yeah.
After he said...
And once he came in as a detective, she probably was like...
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Right. But, like, even he apologized about the coffee shop, and there was no more talk of it. Like, I get it. We're not pursuing this anymore. Let's work.
Yeah.
And that eased her into it too.
And then he got to say something positive, and she got to respond with her own thing.
Yeah.
It was a good thing, and then they walk over there. It's kind of fast. I don't know if they could say anything else.
That's okay. I mean, how fast this is does lend to the fact that, I mean, you wrote it
in a month.
Well, no, not only.
Also,
it's that awkwardness of it not being your original thought, like some of your other ones.
It's like trying to transpose a pig liver into a human. Maybe it's possible, but you have to do some work. And I tried my hardest, but I only had a month. That's finished, but I only had a month. It was like really hard to. The next book is not that. That's the thing. The next book is absolutely not that. It's got a lot of words.
Your idea.
It is. Yeah.
This had a touch of my idea. You heard something I had said from a daydream I was having at work because I was bored out of my mind. Like, I have lots of work to do, but my brain's not active. So my brain went active in this way. So it was something I touched on told you about it, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. And then you were like, okay, I don't know how to write this. There was
I got into it, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting. What's this Fae stuff? And I'm like, okay, I could try and go traditional Fae, but that's not what I like to do. I want to be able to incorporate the Divine Arcane and my own ideas into this concept of Fae. So I just shifted it to my own thing outside of reality. So there could be other Fae that are acting like they're real and proposing to be real, when in reality they're just this extra consciousness and some other thing.
But could you also say, like, Fae stories is not necessarily where you personally would be?
I would love to get better at it. There's no doubt about that. Where I personally want to be is not anywhere anyone's ever seen.
Yeah.
So that's where I want to be, and that's what I'm trying to do here. Yeah. I'm trying to take it to someplace different, some fresh. I get the idea that the food is that enticing, and maybe it is, but it's not like a magical property, and it's just that good. But what if there were other reasons to stay? Like you get caught up in it.
Yeah.
And you don't want to leave because it's interesting, active, and engaging, and you can't die.
Yeah.
Win-win, right? Why wouldn't you just stay? That's the idea.
So I like to sit and rest sometimes.
Yes, some people do. Some people are always on the journey. CEOs are always on the journey in a way. They're always doing something, making sure it's just right.
I like doing these videos with you because I get to sit in my corner.
You can sit in your corner and read a news story. All right, thanks everyone for watching.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
40 minutes.